So, as a data subject on the ground, what I can see every day is every type of entity I interact with, be it my general practitioner, the library I visit, there's information being provided to me up front about the GDPR and my data protection rights. Mostly it's been done very well. It's done lightly and swiftly and concisely in a way that reassures me rather than burdens me. So that's one of the visible changes on the ground. And then as a data protection authority, what I can see on the flip side of that is that there's been a massive increase in the complaints lodged with us as a data protection authority. So individuals understand more about the rights they have, they're more awake to data protection, and they're bringing complaints and queries and concerns in far greater numbers to our office. We're also seeing a big change around breach notifications. We had a voluntary code of practice to cover breach notifications for the last 10 years or so. But since the mandatory notification has come in under GDPR, the volume has increased massively and the type of reporting and the quality of the reporting is improving. And in turn, the bigger organisations where they suffer breaches that affect many users are getting more public and blogging about the breaches, better at explaining them, and we're getting more media pickup. So there's a big continuous loop now of feedback and information happening that we didn't see before.
Well, it does still seem that on breach, there's at least some degree of confusion. You see lots of reports that maybe aren't of significant risk that are being reported just to be safe. And despite the fact that we've got some guidance, is this an area where there's going to be a need for more clarification so that the EPAs get the kinds of reports that are relevant and that they're not sort of just being hit every day in a way that you've got to actually go through and analyze whether this one really mattered versus another one. Do we think the breach, from what we've seen so far, is the breach notification served its purpose? You know, one downside that we've had in the US is that you open your mail every day and you have some notice of a breach and you stop opening it because every day there's some piece of mail telling the individuals there's a breach. And so people have stopped paying attention to it because they don't know whether they have to get alarmed every day. So here we're not notifying necessarily individuals in many of these cases. It's the DPA, but clearly it may not be the most efficient thing just to throw more information. Is this the area where you think we will want people to be careful about what they notify?
Definitely, and more selective in terms of ensuring that not every personal data breach needs to be notified. It's those that pose risks. So we've had well over 4,000 breaches notified to us since the GDPR came into application. We engage with the controller that reports the breach in every single case. It's a really good education opportunity in respect of assessing with them how they calculated the risk, why they've made a decision not to notify the data subjects in a certain case, why they might consider other factors that they hadn't considered, and so on. And we have noticed that there is a certain amount of over-notification, too much cautious notification of the breach to our office, and then arguing with us why it isn't a breach. And we're going, well, we agree with you, why did you notify it to us? You didn't need to ring us to argue with us that it isn't a breach. It's notifiable. So we have committed in Ireland to taking the time in the next couple of months to go through those many thousands of notifications we've had, doing some analysis and providing more detailed guidance on it. It would serve our interests, I think, as well. The policymakers and lawmakers had lots of difficult choices to make in terms of how they constructed it, and overall I think it is something of a masterpiece in terms of covering all sectors and being flexible enough in terms of the principles. Some of the things that are difficult for us as data protection authorities, and I see Willem de Buccalera, one of my fellow DPAs there in the front row, is the regulation of sectors. So a lot of people, for example, are talking now about the ad tech sector. And that becomes a difficult concept to tackle as independent DPAs, because of course I'm in charge of one big controller, Willem is in charge of another. The data brokers that feed the sector are based in other EU countries. And so it becomes difficult to take a sector or a thematic area with the construct we have. Again, there are choices that had to be made, potentially no solution, but they're worth thinking a little bit about. And connected with that, I think certainly in terms of the inquiries and formal statutory investigations we have underway, the rigidity of the controller processor polarity and definitions is challenging, because sometimes you seem to have nobody in charge of the data, and yet many are touching it and indeed monetizing and benefiting from it. So yeah, the choices have to be made, and I think it can work, and it is working to a large extent.